All right, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to episode number 47 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I am your host, Joseph Laney Pavlon. Alongside me, I have Justin Hebert, Daniel Ford, and Blake Huell for a great weekend of stock car racing and motorsports around the globe is in full force. We have a lot to talk about. NASCAR is at week 2. Sports car racing had 2 endurance races. One champion was crowned Saturday night. Supercars is back in the land down under at Adelaide. And we have F1 testing. Without further ado, let's get things started. Let's just get into the first race of the weekend. It was pretty much our first true test of the season, I'd say. Daytona, yeah, of course it's important. But if you can manage a mile-and-a-half race, then you're set for the season.
Yeah.
And Joey Logano, in his run, it paid off on Sunday for the Cup Series round 2 of their 36-race season, which was the Las Vegas Pennzoil 400. Yeah. Joey Logano led 54 laps from the 5th spot on the grid to score his second Las Vegas race victory in the spring. So second consecutive. If you remember, last year he won over Brad Keselowski with a different crew chief and different pit crew. Now he's got new people along with him for the ride, and it's paying off. Logano won at Las Vegas for the second time in a row in the spring for his 24th career win. Let's talk about the strategy, first of all. I mean, it's in the title.
It was interesting. But, remember, early in the race, remember what Stenhouse did? Remember that strategy? He pitted late, so he took 2 tires to stay on the lead lap, which he ended up on the lead lap.
He took the other 2 tires in the next caution that followed the stage.
Yeah.
Let's get into the finishing order before we talk more about the race. Joey Logano, of course, he won for the 24th time in his career.
And for the second time in Las Vegas.
Right. Matt DiBenedetto finished second, started 19th, and scored his career best finish for the second time, meaning that it's happened before, which was Bristol last year. But as for DiBenedetto, it's a great start for him. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished third. He led 30 laps from 26 on the grid. So talk about an up and down race. He was everywhere.
Yep.
Austin Dillon finished 4th, led 1 lap, started 21st. Jimmy Johnson finished 5th, started 18th. Yep. Bubba Wallace finished 6th from 27th on the grid. Brad Keselowski, who won from the last time he won, he was in 2018. Started 8th, finished 7th. Kevin Harvick, the dominant car of the day, led 92 laps, started 3rd, finished 8th. Kyle Larson, who has an Xfinity win at the track, started 6th, finished 9th. And Ty Dillon finished 10th from 24th on the grid. And here are some notables that I listed. Ryan Blaney finished 11th after leading 19 laps from 7th on the grid. We'll be talking about him in a little bit, as well as Alex Bowman, who finished 13th from 12th on the grid. Kyle Busch, the pole sitter, finished 15th. Martin Truex Jr., Busch's teammate and last year's winner, led 1 lap, started 2nd, finished 20th. William Byron started 14th and finished 22nd. And Chase Elliott finished 26th. He led stage 1, stage 2, led 70 laps, started 10th, and had to settle for 26 after a tire puncture.
Yep.
And their next race will be at Fontana for round 3 of 36. But let's talk about this Vegas race. We saw comers and goers, a lot of passing.
Yup.
Lane changes. Some guys would go up high, low, restart differently.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And also, people were saying that, this package sucked. There was no passing last year. There was good passes.
If that wasn't passing, I don't know then what is.
So you saw how good the passing was. Remember, remember off 2 on the restarts, people would just get massive runs and and have to get out of the way because they did not want to wreck the car in front of them
I don't know if you noticed Johnson on the final restart, but he went
on
below the apron
passing
in
Tyler
dirty
Reddick.
air on the inside. That's how low he went to pass Tyler Reddick, and somehow I thought they were wrecking him over there. They eventually did crash, but
Oh yeah,
Johnson made it through. He finished 5th.
but like also was interesting. Like some drivers were running in the back, like they were not. Like Alex Bowman, he was running between 8th and 12th.
For most of the race.
But remember that final run? He was 6th, and he started gaining positions.
If you saw the podcast last week, I picked Alex Bowman to win the race. It almost worked. I think Danny picked Bowman as well.
I also did.
And
I picked Johnson to win.
Oh, you picked Johnson. Then that must have been Blake who picked Bowman.
I know I did.
But
yeah,
like we know how he is, and that's the steady lap times he can bring to the table on these 1.5-mile tracks, and they were paying off. He was so close. If the right decision was made at the final caution, or if the caution didn't come out at all before that last restart, he may or may not have had a chance in victory lane.
But remember, he was closing on Ryan Blaney. He was closing every lap. He was Remember how far he was? He was 6th. He passed Stenhouse. Remember how when he made the move for 3rd, you saw how he got by Harvick with no problem.
And almost like he was a lap car. That's how fast he passed him. Ridiculous.
The last 9.5 miles, Alex Bowman has the better average finish at the 1.5 miles recently. Like, you saw how he is good at these 1.5 miles, which is a good thing because the 1.5 miles, there's more 1.5 miles in the season than
any other kind of track.
Yeah, like you see how good he's Vegas. He's good at Chicago, like Kansas. But also,
absolutely. I mean, the majority of the races on the NASCAR calendar are 1.5 miles. Yeah. So you have to be good. If you want to be a good NASCAR driver and you want to win a championship, you got to be good at the 1.5 miles.
Consistency is definitely key because, I mean, if you're a driver like Alex Bowman, the real test might be next week at Auto Club Speedway because he doesn't have, this is a track they only go to once a year. And there's a sister track, of course, Michigan, that they go to twice. So, it might paint the picture to what's coming in the summer. Yeah. But you always want to get a good start in the season. And speaking of good starts, let's talk about the point standings after 2 races. So Ryan Blaney's the point standings leader. He's got 85 points claimed over teammate Joey Logano, who's 3 points behind with 82. Kevin Harvick is 3rd with 81 points claimed. Kyle Larson is 4th with 70 points, so he's minus 11. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 5th. 6th place is Chase Elliott. Austin Dillon is 7th in points with 63 points claimed. Chris Buescher is 8th. Denny Hamlin, the Daytona 500 winner, is 9th in points. And Matt DiBenedetto sits there 10th. And let's get into Matt DiBenedetto for a moment. We all know that this is a major step up from Levine Family Racing to the Wood Brothers.
Yeah, like people don't understand.
A much more stable team that has a better crew.
You know that 95 car? People say, oh, it was the reason why the 95, the 95 was not fully JGR equipped.
Not last year.
This year it is because, Christopher Bell, but
he's in the system.
Yeah, but Matt DiBenedetto did good in that 21. People say, oh, he's bad, but
he took a car that had that was kind of weak almost, a 95 car last year, and almost won at Bristol with it. Almost won the Daytona 500 last year.
Yeah, he led quite a bit at the Daytona 500 last year. So that proves that he can perform very well no matter what car he's in.
Like, remember 2016, he drove for BK Racing and finished 6th at Bristol.
That's equivalent to Williams in F1. Today's Williams.
That's how slow that car is, and he managed to finish 6th.
That's very, very impressive.
Yep.
Right. So that's pretty much what we have for the NASCAR Cup Series second race of the season.
Also, I want to note the fans. this has been the worst start for many drivers, including Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch sits 30th in the standings, which is not a good way to start the season off.
Yeah, Kyle Busch is actually 27th.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
There's only
He
two
needs
races.
to make something up now.
Yep.
It's not the end of the world, but you can't let
Yeah.
this go on for like the next few more races. Otherwise, you might be in a slump.
Yeah, that's.
And sometimes it's hard to get out of one.
Uh-huh.
Let's move
Right.
on. I think we've got everything covered here. So let's go on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series race on the Las Vegas 300. This was race 2 of their 33 race tour.
The race finished last night.
Right. Yeah. The rain actually stopped the race after 50 laps were complete on Saturday due to rain, and the race was finished last night.
After the race.
Yeah. So Chase Briscoe, he got the win. Finished first. He won stage 1, led 89 laps from second on the grid for his third career win. First on a mile and a half. He's won on 3 different racetracks in 3 different years.
Yeah.
Second place was his Ford counterpart, Austin Cindric, who led 39 laps from 6th place on the grid. Third place gets interesting. Ryan Sieg, the owner-driver for RSS Racing, he started 32nd, finished 3rd, and led a lap.
Yep.
It's a great performance. We'll get into him in a little bit. Noah Gragson finished 4th, the Daytona 300 winner, led 2 laps from 7th place in the start. Finishing 5th was Harrison Burton, who was 3rd on the grid.
Number 20 here, yep.
6th place was Brandon Jones, who won the last mile and a half race before yesterday.
Kansas, yeah.
And
Really?
he
No.
started 9th.
No, you said last mile and a half?
Oh, I meant like the last
Texas.
shaped mile and a half, like Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
Because Texas
Homestead. Texas and Homestead.
Oh,
You're right.
Homestead, I forgot. Homestead.
Yeah, my bad on that.
Done. Homestead's now race 6 of the season, so yeah.
We were referring to last year. Michael Annette started 8th, finished 7th. Justin Allgaier, he finished 8th. Won stage 2, led 63 laps, started 4th. 9th place is Las Vegas' own Riley Herbst. Happy birthday to you.
Yep.
He started 12th. 10th place was Ross Chastain, probably the busiest driver in the entire paddock the whole weekend. I'm starting 25th. And here are some notables I listed down. Brandon Brown finished 11th from 19th on the grid.
Family-owned team, yep.
Justin Haley, 12th, started 11th. 19th place, Joey Gaze, if you're watching this, great run.
Yep.
Started 14th in RSS Racing Equipment. Joe Graff Jr., who led at the red flag on Saturday night.
He led 4 laps in
Yeah,
total.
From 15th on the grid. JJ Yeley started 5th, finished 22nd. Joe Nemechek started 31st, finished 27th. And here's some other guys, 2 drivers that retired from the race. Daniel Hemrick, Virginia Motorsports, started 10th, finished 35th. And Landon Castle for Morgan Shepherd started 36th, finished last in Stardom Park.
Yeah, but there's actually more that got out, including, do you want to know what about that Xfinity race? What's interesting? Tommy Joe Martin's that family number 44? He was 16th at one point. Guess where he finished?
Where?
He finished in the 30s. He blew up under caution.
That's so unfortunate.
He was 16th in that family-owned team. That team again.
Yeah, he owns that team.
He used to have that truck team. Remember the 44 truck?
Right, but they upgraded up to the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, and I'm like, that sucks for him, and
all right.
Yeah.
So let's after 2 races, we can dive into the Xfinity Series championship standings. So Chase Briscoe has 92 points claimed. He's in the championship lead over Noah Gragson, who's 7 points back with 85 points claimed. Harrison Burton is 3rd with 80 points claimed. Michael Annette is 4th, minus 15 behind the leader. Brandon Jones is 5th with 76 points claimed. Austin Cindric is 6th, minus 17 from the leader. Ryan Sieg, Justin Haley are tied for 7th. And 9th place, Justin Allgaier, minus 22 points. And Brandon Brown is 10th, minus 31 points. Their next race will be this weekend in Fontana, California for the California 300, which we'll get into later in the podcast. So yeah, it was a fairly interesting Xfinity Series race. On a track that most people kind of critique for not being the most interesting of races. Now let's go ahead and carry on to the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series event that happened on Friday night. A very interesting race happened Friday night from Las Vegas involving the Truck Series for round 2 of 23, which was the Strat 200. Kyle Busch, the hometown man, the winningest guy in the Truck Series, owner, driver, you name it. He won stage 1, stage 2, led 108 laps from third on the grid for his 57th total win and his third consecutive win that he's attempted Las Vegas. And for all the Truck Series races he's attempted, which has been the last 7, he's won.
Yep.
So this goes back to 2018. If you remember last year in the Truck Series, for all the 5 races he ran, because for a driver like him, NASCAR doesn't allow these skilled Cup drivers to go more than 5 times in the Truck Series. And it has to be in the regular season. So he was perfect last year, plus the 2 races in 2018 that he won. Johnny Sauter, who's been competing against Kyle Busch for almost 20 years, no matter what kind of vehicles they race, finished second. He led 7 laps from the pole. Third place was Austin Hill, who started 6th. And Austin Hill, if you remember, he won last year.
Yeah, in the fall, and he won the last mile and a half at Homestead also.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
4th place was last year's champion, Matt Crafton, who started 13th. And Crafton's teammate, Ben Rhodes, finished 5th from 18th on the grid. Zane Smith, who is a Las Vegas native, driving for a team that is based in Vegas, GMS Racing. I don't know if they're based, actually, but they're the people. They're from Vegas, Gallagher family. He finished 6th, started 15th. 7th place was Todd Gillen, giving Front Row Motorsports their best Truck Series finish to date, which I think is going to be higher as the year goes on. Tanner Gray got his career best finish at 8th, from 14th on the grid. Stuart Friesen started 17th, finished 9th. And Sheldon Creed, who started 2nd, led 8 laps, and finished 10th. Now, here's some drivers I've written down here, some of the notables. Ross Chastain started 12th, finished 14th for Nice Motorsports. Jordan Anderson, who won the hearts of many fans last week at Daytona, led 1 lap, started 20th, finished 20th. The owner driver.
Yeah, Zane Smith's from Huntington Beach, California.
But I think he resides in Vegas, too.
Yeah,
I might be wrong on that.
But he's born in California.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Derek Kraus, who had an unlucky moment on the first lap. Yeah. He started 16th, finished 22nd.
Yeah, that really
Christian Eckes led 10 laps, started 4th, but due to an incident, he's going to have to settle for 23rd.
Yeah,
as well as his teammate Rafael Lessard, who started 8th, finished 30th, and as well as, of course, ThorSports Grant Enfinger, who won round 1 at Daytona, started 9th, finished 31st. Those 2 drivers, Lessard and Enfinger, crashed out and retired from the race.
You know the Enfinger incident? That was actually Enfinger got loose in front of Lessard, and Lessard got collected from Enfinger. And before that, the caution before that was Eckes cutting a right front, going to turn 1. So. Really
right. Now they got some climbing to do on the standings. Let's get into that for a little bit. So, yeah, Austin Hill, who was a contender last year in the championship, he leads the championship so far. He has 82 points claimed, 9 points over Johnny Sauter, the 2016 Series champion, who's 9 points behind there. Ben Rhodes is third, minus 22. He has 60 points claimed. 2018 Series champion Brent Moffitt is 4th with 59 points claimed. Moffitt's teammate Sheldon Creed sits 5th, minus 24. Zane Smith, who also drives for GMS Racing, is with 57 points claimed, minus 23 from the leader. Grant Enfinger, the Daytona winner, dropped down to 7th after that incident on Friday night. He's minus 26 from the leader. Christian Eckes is 8th in the championship, minus 27. Todd Gilliland sits 9th in Front Row Motorsports, number 38. He's minus 28 points. Cody Rarba is 10th with 53 points claimed. So, yeah, like I said, you got some climbing up to do. Rafael Osar, you're 18th in points. Derek Kraus, you're 15th. Matt Craft at 13th. Stuart Friesian's 10th. There's a long way to go. I mean,
yeah, the next race actually for trucks is Atlanta in March 14th at Atlanta.
So they get 2 weeks off, basically.
Yeah, they only race at Phoenix once, and they don't race at Auto Club anymore, which people don't like that. Well, that's money issues.
Right. That's going to be round 3 of 23. We'll get into.
That's going to be after the Phoenix podcast.
Right. So the Truck Series, they get some time off, 2 weeks off, essentially.
Yep.
So let's get into the Supercars Championship, which kicked off this past weekend in Adelaide, South Australia, for the Adelaide Super Loop 500, which is the first week of 14 weeks in the championship for 2020, and rounds 1 and 2 of the 28 race tour. So let's get into race 1. Race 1 was Saturday. Jamie Whincup, who led 55 laps from the pole, won for the 119th time in his career over Scott McLaughlin, who won the last 2 years' championships. McLaughlin started 7th and led 12 laps. Shane Van Gisbergen for Red Bull Holden Racing Team in 888 Race Engineering finished 3rd, leading 2 laps from 6th place off the grid.
Good drive from him.
Absolutely. We'll get into him for a little bit more, and especially for race 2. 4th place, David Reynolds, who started 2nd. 5th place was Will Davison. Will Davison started 3rd. Cam Waters finished 6th from 5th on the grid. Chaz Mosser, in his first race for the Andretti Walkinshaw United Holden team, finished 7th after starting 4th. 8th place was Mark Winterbottom, a veteran, who led 1 lap for Team 18 in the Irwin Holden from 9th. Rick Kelly in Kelly Racing's Ford debut was the highest of the Kelly bunch. He finished 9th, started 16th in the new Castrol Mustang, which of course last year was a Nissan. Fabian Coulthard led 8 laps from 11th on the grid, finishing 10th. So race 1 was a very interesting opener to the 2020 season. We saw comers and goers, but in the end, experience paid off. Jamie Whincup. I think, his quest to get an 8th title has to start as early as possible. It's hard to get in the middle or get in the way from Scott McLaughlin getting the victory lane. It's hard to be the one that stops him from doing it. Like, knowing how crazy and how crazy good he is. I'm trying to find that word. How consistent this guy is.
I mean, he was unstoppable last year. It's going to be very, very difficult to pick up that momentum that McLaughlin had.
Right. And we'll get more into Scott McLaughlin later, because we have race 2. So race 2 was, of course, round 2 of 28, the race that happened on Sunday. And this was McLaughlin's race, or should I say, a victory wrapped in paper. You open it up like a present, and you get a win.
Because
because of Van Gisbergen. We'll get into Shane in a little bit. Scott McLaughlin, though, he started second, led 23 laps for his 44th career win over Chaz Mostert, who has just been impressive this whole weekend. If you saw the practice sessions, started fifth, finished second. Cam Waters for Tickford Racing finished third. He started third. Will Davison started fourth, finished fourth. Jamie Whincup, winner from race 1, started seventh, led a lap, finished fifth. Lee Holdsworth, great run for him, sixth place after starting eighth. Nick Percat, who won, and I forgot what year it was. I think it was 2015 in the rain. In Adelaide's his hometown. He started 13th, finished 7th. It's a good run for him in the Brad Jones Racing X-Convenience Holden. David Reynolds started 14th after struggling in qualifying. Didn't make the top 10 shootout. Finished 8th. Fabian Coulthard started 6th, finished in 9th. Andre Heimgartner brings Kelly Racing into the top 10 with a 19th place starting spot, gaining 9 spots to finish 10th. And now let's get into actually, before we get into him, let's talk about James Courtney. He led 3 laps, started 22nd, finished 15th, and this is the unfortunate situation. Scott McLaughlin may have won, but Shane Van Gisbergen had the better drive. He had a suspension failure at the end, led 51 laps from the pole, retired 21st.
Even McLaughlin said he didn't deserve it. He even said that Shane deserved the win. He knew that Shane was faster in his Holden, but suspension failures.
That was very unfortunate.
Yep.
So yeah, 2 races were completed, which means point standings look differently. So I have listed. Scott McLaughlin has the points. He has 288 points claimed over Jamie Whincup, which is minus 27 now. And the number may be big, but they earn more points than they do in other forms.
It's not like NASCAR or Formula 1. Formula 1, you only get 25 points. Maybe 26 if you get the fastest lap.
Right. Chaz Mostert, he's third in the points, minus 54. Cam Waters is fourth, tie with Will Davison. They both are minus 57 points. And David Reynolds, shown in 6th right now, minus 78 points. And looking down the list, Lee Holdsworth, Mark Windebottom, Fabian Coulthard, Andre Heimgartner, Rick Kelly. In the team's championship, looks like this. DJR Team Penske has 450 points claimed. 48 points over Tickford 23 Red Racing with 402 points claimed. 888 Race Engineering has 390 points. They are third. Tickford Racing is fourth with 357 points claimed. And Waukesha and Andretti United is fifth with 330 points claimed. The next race weekend will be the Melbourne 400, which is the same weekend as F1. It's 2 weeks from now. And that'll be week 2 of 14 and rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6 of 28. So we got 4 races coming up when they have their 2-week break conclude. So it's
I have a question about the Melbourne race. Is that going to be counted as a championship race? Because
yes.
I know previously it was a non-championship race.
It's 2018. They've counted to the championship.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know that. Thank you.
So yeah, game on. You can't sleep in supercars. That's one thing I noticed.
Yep.
And Melbourne gets pretty tight and uncomfortable. So that's one of the tracks that's on the more difficult side for supercars.
So yeah, that's 2 weeks from now. So they get a week off, and then another week off, and they'll be back. And when we go talk about that on the podcast preceding Albert Park, we'll be talking about Formula 1 and previewing that. So, yeah, it's coming to that time of the year again. As for supercars, I think it's going to be a great season. I liked what I saw at Adelaide. It makes me want to, you have to have some motivation to stay up that late and watch those events. And so far, they have not disappointed me.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next race that happened. We're going to cover two sports car races that took place over the weekend. We're going to cover the 4 Hours of Birmingham, which was the season finale for the Asia Le Mans series, and then we're going to cover the 6 Hours of Coda, which was known as Lone Star Le Mans, for the round 5 of the FI World Endurance Championship. So yeah, let's get started with the 4 Hours of Birmingham, which was round 4 of the 4-race Asia Le Mans Series Championship. LMP2, Carlin Racing, Thunderhead won over the number 26 G Drive Racing, which we're going to get into them in a little bit. They won the championship, just 1 point ahead of Carlin. 36 was the K2 Chino, number 96. 4th place was the number 1 Eurasia. 5th place was the number 36 Eurasia. And 6th and 7th place was the number 33 and number 34 Inter-Europol entries. LMP2AM was just the 2 Rick Ware cars, the number 25 Rick Ware Racing of the number 52 Rick Ware Racing entries. LMP3 looked like this. Number 12 Ace 1 Villabora Corsa won over the number 2 Nielsen. The number 8 Graf finished 3rd. Number 65 Viper Niza finished 4th. The number 3 Nielsen finished 5th. The number 18 Inter-Europol was credited with 6th, while the number 9 Graf finished 7th, and the number 13 Inter-Europol got 8th. The GT3 class had the number 27 Hubauto Corsa Ferrari over the number 17. Actually, no, the number 7 Car Guy Ferrari. Number 51 Spirit of Race Ferrari. The number 88 JLOC, or JLOC, if that's how you call it, Lamborghini. 5th place was the number 75 T2 Motorsports Ferrari, and 6th place was the number 77 D-Station Racing Aston Martin. And here are the final standings. I have it listed here. So yeah, 1st place, of course, LMP2. They won it just by 1 point over the 45. It was number 26 G Drive Racing, 83 points claimed over the number 45 Carlin with 82 points. The number 36 Eurasia had 65 points, while the 33 and 34 Inter-Europols were 4th and 5th. The 33 had 38 points, and the 34 got 28 points the whole season. LMP2 AM class finished up with the number 52 Rick Ware Racing winning the championship with 86 points claimed. 2nd place was the number 25 Rick Ware Racing, which had 45 points claimed. 3rd place was the number 59 RLRM Sport with 26 points claimed, and 4th place was the number 4 ARC Bratislava with 16 points. LMP3 may have been close until the end, but the number 2 Nielsen prevailed. The number 12 Ace 1 Villabora Corsa finished 2nd with 62 points earned this season. The number 13 Inter-Europol had 59 points and finished 3rd in the championship, while the number 9 Graf finished 4th with 40 points claimed, and the number 3 Nielsen got 3rd with 5th with 37 points. Excuse me. GT3 looked like this for the final standings. The number 27 Hubauto Corsa won the championship, so they won the last race and got the trophy at the end. 71 points claimed over the number 7 Car Guy Ferrari with 64 points. The number 88 JLOC JLOC with 61 points, and the number 51 Spirit of Race Ferrari got 4th with 57 points, and the number 75 T2 Motorsports was 5th with 41 points claimed. So, what a season that was. A quick season, of course, just 4 races. But we learned a lot. We now know who the special invitational entries are for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. If you don't know how entry rules work for the 24 Hours of Le Mans, champions from certain leagues. I'm not sure if I named them all, but they include the European Le Mans Series.
The champions get priority.
Yeah,
I think, right?
The WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, European Le Mans Series, and the Asian Le Mans Series. I know that there might be some others that are included on the list, maybe like Blancpain or something. But that's as far as I'm concerned. So those champions get an invitation to the entry list for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That's pretty interesting. I think it's a great motivation to enter a 4-race championship.
Absolutely.
So yeah, now let's go ahead and talk about the FIA World Endurance Championship.
For the Lone Star Le Mans.
Yep.
Right, the 6 hours of Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, did not disappoint in 2020. This was round 5 of their 8-race championship, and it was won by the number 1 Rebellion.
Surprise second victory from them.
Right, and they won it over the 2 Toyotas. Number 8 finished second on the lead lap, and the number 7 finished 2 laps down, and third the Toyotas. So that's LMP1 for you. LMP2, the number 22 United Autosports, driven by Felipe Albuquerque, Phil Hansen, Paul di Resta, won over the number 37 Jackie Chan DC Racing. Drivers Ho Pin Tung, Gabriel Aubry, Will Stevens. Then looking down the list, number 38 Jota Sport finished third. The number 42 Cool Racing, team from Switzerland, finished in 4th in the class, and 5th was the number 29 Dutch team, Racing Team Netherlands, which finished 5th in there. So let's go ahead and look into the LMGT Pro class, which came down to, there was only 7 cars in here, so let's admit it was the number 95 Aston Martin Racing entry with Marco Sorensen and Nicky Tim, the 2 Danish drivers, winning a whole lap ahead of the rest of the competition. The number 92 Porsche finished in 2nd with Michael Christensen, Kevin Estra. 3rd place was the number 51 AF Corsa Ferrari. 4th place was the number 97 Aston Martin. 5th place was the number 71 Ferrari. 6th place is the number 63 Corvette Racing. It was a second race with the new C8R. A little off the pace, but it's a new car, so they need as much experience as they can. And 7th place retired from the race. Actually, no, they weren't retired. But they did the time in the garage last time I checked. It was the number 91 Porsche. And lastly, of course, the LMGTE AM class was won, and it was a really good battle between 2 Aston Martins, a privateer Aston Martin and a factory-supported Aston Martin racing it. But it came down to the privateer winning the number 90 TF Sport, driven by Sally Yolk, Charlie Eastwood, and Jonathan Adam. They won over the number 98 Aston Martin Racing entry, which had Darren Turner, Ross Gunn, and Paul Dall'Anna. Welcome back, PDL. Remember, he had that skiing accident, which sidelined him from the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. Yeah. 3rd place was the number 56 Team Project 1 Porsche. 4th place was the number 83 AF Corsa Ferrari, and 5th was the number 77 Dempsey Proton Racing Porsche. I almost said 55th. Like, what the hell?
55. Yeah. But
so yeah, the next race will be the 1,000 miles of Sebring, which is actually in 3 weeks from now, round 6 of 8.
Yep.
Quickly became a highlight of the season. And as we all know about the classic Sebring track, one of the keys to the race is #respect the bumps.
The bumps aren't as respectful anyways, no matter how you play. But let's get into the championship standings. As for LMP1, Toyota has 126 points claimed over Rebellion which has 93 points. And Team LNT, which was absent, they had 29 points claimed so far. So that's what you have in LMP1. LMP2 is the number 22 United Autosports. They have 94 points over the number 90 Jackie Chan DC Racing. Oh, and the number 37. I don't know say what. I'm losing track of myself. Third in the standings is the ally of the 37, which is the number 38 Jodo Sport. Used to be part of the Jackie Chan Racing clan. They have 77 points. Racing Team Netherlands, number 29, is fourth in the championship with 76 points. And fifth place is the number 36 Signature Alpine with 64 points claimed. LMGTE Pro is Aston Martin Racing, 186 points over Porsche, which is 157 points. Ferrari has 146 points, and Corvette is fourth, not classified yet. LMGT AM is the number 83 AF Corsa Ferrari with 85 points, just 2 points over second place, the number 90 TF Sport Aston Martin, and then they have 83 points claimed. The number 98 Aston Martin Racing has 78.5 points claimed. They're third in the championship. Fourth place is the number 57 Team Project 1. They have 73.5 points. And fifth place is the number 86 Gulf Racing Porsche, which they have 50 points so far. And like I mentioned, the next race is going to be round 6 of 8 in 3 weeks' time at Sebring for the 1,000-mile event, which will companion the 12 hours of Sebring. I think we learned a lot from this race in Austin, haven't we?
Yep.
Yeah, why don't we get into a little bit more about the keys to the race? So, like I said before, respect the bumps. That's one of the major things. You want to set up the car for that. Obviously, it's also a very long race, 1,000 miles. And the other thing is, if you go off, it gets very slippy.
It's very easy to get a puncture at Sebring.
Yep.
Yeah, very slippy and also very easy to get a puncture. The other thing is, again, it can be very hard on the car, so you really have to take care of the car.
Right, we'll definitely get more into this when we come back in a few weeks' time on that note. But as for Austin, we almost had rain. It looked like it was very, very cloudy.
Yep. It was.
And the wet tires were uncovered, but not used. And you think it's going to rain. It's not. It's like the storm cells are over, but it just didn't seem to rain, which was a really lucky pass on most of the teams out there. Save themselves some rain tires.
They should have. It would have been better if the rain was there instead of Las Vegas.
That is so true. Yeah, that is so true. So yeah, there we have it. Well, now let's go on to. So we had 2 races
In
on the others category. Let's start off with the Monster Energy Supercross at Arlington, Texas, which was round 8 of 17. Eli Tomac in his Kawasaki won, and he finished first in his motos over Ken Roxon, who was first, 7th, and 2nd in his motos in his Honda. Jason Anderson, 3rd in his Husqvarna. In his motos, he finished 3rd, 2nd, and 5th. Justin Barsha finished 4th overall in his motos. He got 4th, 5th, and 4th in his Yamaha. And Zach Osborne finished 5th overall in 7th, 4th, and 3rd in his motos in a Husqvarna. So there's that. The standings look like this. Eli Tomac still has the championship lead. He has 181 points claimed over Ken Roxon, who has 174 points. Cooper Webb is 3rd with 155 points earned so far. Justin Barsha has claimed 154 points. And Jason Anderson is 5th with 139 points. And their next race is this weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for round 9 of 17. So they don't really have a week off. They just keep racing and racing.
Yep, they do.
Absolutely. Never sleeps.
Right. But the storyline, though, going into this race is Adam Cianciarulo, the one of the upcoming riders, was injured in warm-ups on Saturday, did not participate in the race, and he took a hit in the championship. That's a tough break for the young native from Tampa, Florida. And let's move on to the ARCA Menard Series West, which was formerly known as the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West. Their season opener at Las Vegas, the short track known as Bull Ring, for round 1 of 10. Sam Mayer led 138 laps. Blistering performance. He won over Jesse Love, who finished second, leading 12 laps, over Perkins, Schroeder, and Huddleston. That's your top 5. Obviously, since one race is complete, I'm not going to go over the championship because it matches the standings. But their next race will be in a few weeks from now in Irwindale, California, round 2.
28th.
Oh, that's actually a month from now.
Yeah, March 28th.
That's round 2 of 10. Blake, so you've been covering some of the MotoGP lately. Tell us a little about that.
So yes, we have just concluded, and apologies, I'm just getting the results up right now to report on those. But yes, we just concluded the preseason testing at Qatar for 2020. And if you look at the headlines, it's looking like it's going to be very, very close. It looks like Suzuki is on top with Alex Rins posting the fastest time, 1 minute 52.462 over the 3 days. Oh, my mistake. I didn't scroll down. That was day 1. Let me find day 2. Again, apologies. But, and if I can tab over. Oops. Oh, here we go. So, day 3, I have not got day 2, but day 3 was dominated, or not dominated, but Vinales posted the fastest time on day 3 with a 1 minute 53.858, followed closely by Morbidelli with a time only just short by 33 hundredths of a second, which proves that as far as lap time, it's going to be a very close season. Alex Rins, third on day 3, only 2 tenths behind.
That's very interesting. I think it's going to set the table for that's going to happen in 2020. I think MotoGP will be fun to watch.
Absolutely.
So yeah, now that that's settled, we
Also,
Yeah.
I wanted to say, during this week, there was other things going on. From Wednesday to Friday, we had F1 testing at Barcelona for week 1. But next Wednesday, we'll have another week of testing. But if you didn't see the results for testing,
it looked very weird.
Mercedes. If day 1 was Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton over Bottas, then we had Perez, Verstappen, Kvyat, Sainz, Ricciardo, Ocon, Russell, and Stroll. We're the top 10. But do you want to know what's more weird? And did you notice in what I said? Where people are wondering where's Leclerc? He was 11th.
Wow.
He was 1.3 seconds off the pace.
That's very unlike him.
But like,
Are we going to have another 2012 season where there were 7 different winners in the first 7 races?
I think that's going to happen in 2021, to be
You know-
fairly honest.
you know George Russell. He was 9th in testing. He was a second faster than last year in day 1 of testing, which is really a good thing when you improved. Day 2 had 13 cars go out. Kimi Raikkonen, fastest over Sergio Perez, Ricardo Albon, Gasly. Vettel was 6th. Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton was down in 9th. Lando Norris 10th. Then Grosjean, Ocon, and Bottas. It was only 13 cars, but Kimi Raikkonen in his Alpha.
Everyone's
Really?
saying, okay, Raikkonen's done. He's out, you know.
Yeah.
No, I think this is showing otherwise.
Right, and I hope we see this in Albert Park in 2
Yep.
weeks from now.
And then the final day of testing for this week, Bottas fastest over Lewis Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Danny Kvyat, Antonio Giovinazzi, Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly, and Alexander Albon. And people wondering, where's Vettel? Vettel's 13th, 2.6 seconds off of Bottas. That's
Usually
kinda-
Ferrari doesn't take their main tricks out of the bag in testing.
Oh,
But that's
God.
still
No.
not a good sign.
But Nicholas
Yeah.
Latifi,
Yeah,
rookie, he was over half a second faster than Magnussen. Magnussen
It-
was last. Magnussen's almost 4 seconds off of Bottas. Which if Haas is acting like that, I don't
you
know.
know, I said this about them so many times last year that they just can't change things up.
They, with
I
Grosjean,
have a feeling it's 2021 or nothing.
Grosjean and Magnussen.
Unless these drivers somehow drastically change their
yeah.
their ways, and I don't know what is going to help them.
Well, the only good thing is, which in day 3 of testing, Grosjean was 4/1000ths faster than Vettel, while Magnussen rode in last the whole time and almost crashed the car in testing.
Wow.
That is, yeah. But there'll be a week 2 of testing on Wednesday. This Wednesday, there'll be another week of testing, another 3-day test.
Right.
As
And
always.
so yeah, we're gonna get into that when we come back next week. Now let's move on into our upcoming races. We have 2 key events this weekend. We're gonna
Yeah.
talk about NASCAR at Auto Club Speedway for the Cup Series, round 3 of 36 Xfinity Series. Fontana 300. It's round 3 of their 33 race tour. So let's get to the Cup Series for race 3 of 36, the Auto Club 400 in Fontana, California. Last year, Kyle Busch scored the win. In fact, that was his 200th total win across the 3 national series last year. In 1997, the inaugural race was held, won by Jeff Gordon. And these drivers have the most wins at the track. Jimmy Johnson with 6, Kyle Busch with 4, and they have one thing in common. They got their first career win at this track driving in a Hendrick Motorsports car.
Yep.
Wow.
And most team wins for the spring race. Roush Family Racing has 7, Hendrick Motorsports with 6, and Team Penske and Joe Gibbs Racing are tied with 3. And for the spring race, most make wins. Ford leads that with 10 over Chevy with 9 and 4 with Toyota. So let's get into this. I know we're 2 races in. We have 34 races remaining and 24 races remaining in the regular season. I think this is our first race in a super speedway, or in this kind of super speedway, because we'll be going to Michigan twice. What's going to happen? I'm trying to figure this out.
I think with the new car, like the package did change from 2020. I think it's gonna be more side by side. compared to last year's race. I feel like they'll be more bunched up and side by side trying to pass each other because even even Alex Bowman said the cars feel better than last year. That
I think the side draft is more important now too.
especially at this track.
Yep, with Auto Club, yeah, because you're going fast into the corners, and you do know Auto Club surface is a rough track.
But you can run multiple grooves.
Yeah, you could run bottom all the way down. You could run in the middle. You could run all against the wall like Kyle Larson. Like you've seen how bumpy that track is, especially off of turn 2. You've seen how bumpy the cars are down the back straightaway.
And you got to keep it as straight as possible to get a good lap.
Yep. Because if you're loose, oh gosh,
You be on the lookout for qualifying. Then you see how straight they keep their cars down there.
And also, guys, remember what happened last season in qualifying at Auto Club with that fiasco that nobody got a lap time in round 3? That's not gonna happen anymore because it's
Yeah.
single car.
And here's the
qualifying.
thing: your qualifying time and your race time is going to be completely different because you depend on the draft here.
Yeah, you're gonna be drafting.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. So you're gonna run faster times in the race typically.
I have a feeling that practice 1, practice 2 are going to be completely different because I know they want to spend as much time in a pack of cars, or they
Yeah.
want to be by themselves.
Yeah, remember in Vegas practice, remember they were bunched up?
Right. Because they
Yeah,
want to see how their car reacts
usually,
racing around other cars.
But usually, remember last year we saw cars wouldn't react near each other, but they're actually better this year. The cars act better side by side than before, which really helps. Like Vegas, there was passing, which people are like, "Oh, there was no passing." I don't know what they were watching if there was no passing. They were probably watching something else because there was passing. There were so many passes. But like about Auto Club, that track, you also have to not. The thing about Auto Club is when you hit the bumps, you don't want to get loose. I've seen.
Yeah, are there any particular bumps that you really want to
I know
avoid?
there's a few in the corners.
There's some in the corners,
They're
but
tough to spot.
yeah, because you see the seams, the black seams in turn 1 and 2, but the back straightaway, you want to get a good angle off the corner to get a good run down the back straightaway, or you're gonna get sideways off too. With those bumps on the back straightaway, you have to get the good angle off the corner, or you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into the our predictions. So
Okay.
we're in round 3. 2 races are done. We're back at a 2.5-mile oval. This time, of course, different situation with the flat track.
2.5. You meant 2 mile.
Oh, 2 miles.
Yeah, that's the first 2 mile track. Like under.
Oh yeah, because the Auto Club 500 was more than 200 laps.
Yeah, it's a 2 mile track. It was 250 laps when it was.
Right. Still kind of wish it wasn't a 500-mile race just to see how the strategies would play out and all that. But it's still a good. It's still you're gonna see some strategy.
You're gonna see some interesting moves with everything, and plus, Auto Club tires matter there.
Oh yeah, they do.
It's like Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is hard to pick at Auto Club.
So yeah, Auto Club. I'm gonna go with this driver. He won this race in 2017, and he has 3 consecutive wins at Michigan, including his very first. Kyle Larson's gonna win.
Ooh. Huh.
He also has 2 Xfinity Series wins there, including his very first in 2014. What do you guys have?
And this is what the first is. This is a mile and a half, right? Or no,
2 mile.
2 mile. 2 mile. Okay, so technically in super speedway category.
Yep. Ooh, this is hard.
It is difficult.
I mean, there are so many drivers that you can predict that have a good shot at winning this race.
I at this point, I think it's very, very hard to pick because we don't really know who has a good momentum with these type of tracks yet.
I gotta go check something quickly. I need to pull up my stats.
Like even Michigan, I would have a better chance of picking a driver.
Yeah.
Like I would be quicker to do it than Fontana. Maybe that's because Fontana only happens once in a year. Michigan, you raced there twice. In fact, I think the last time they raced twice at Fontana was that
What?
2009.
No, 2010.
Oh yeah, 2010.
Yeah, that was the
Because
last.
they had that race in the fall. So yeah, I'm waiting on your predictions, and then we'll get into Xfinity.
Oh boy. Yeah, let me look at standings real quick. As you guys know, we use Racing Reference for a lot of our info.
Yep. I got my driver. This driver, he hasn't got a good start to the season. He currently sits 30th in the Cup points. His average finish here is 12.58. He has a win here. 7 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and 20 top 20s. His best finish is first. His worst finish is 39th. This driver also drove the teams he's driven for. He's driven for Roush, Penske, Phoenix Racing, Stewart Haas, and now Chip Ganassi.
I know who you're going with.
Kurt Busch
Yes.
will win at Auto Club.
If you remember, he won back in 2003 for Jack Roush.
Yeah, it's been a while since.
Back when it was a 500-mile race.
Yeah, he actually led 27 laps to win that race, but
2003 Winston Cup Series. Blake, who do you have?
I feel like this is a bit of a gamble, but this driver, he is a rookie, but he's shown promising speed, but not much luck. Christopher Bell.
That's very interesting because the top line is where these dirt drivers like to run on pavement. You have to sometimes use that top line at Auto Club. That's how Larson got that win in 2017. That's how he won 3 times in a row at Michigan and 2 Xfinity races at Fontana. So think about it. It's not that wrong of a prediction. He might surprise us, Justin. So you got Kurt Busch. I got Kyle Larson. He has Christopher Bell. This is going to be a very exciting race on Sunday.
Also, I was looking about Kurt Busch. He actually led 102 laps and finished second in 2002, the year before.
And guess who won that race for the first time in his career? Jimmy Johnson.
Yep. And also about that, Kurt Busch's worst finish there, it's 39th, but I looked at the worst average finish. I think it was Timmy Hill. That's the worst. So I'm glad I did not pick him because that wouldn't be the smartest idea to pick the. Actually, let me go check now. I am interested. Who has the worst? Okay, I found the driver with the worst average finish. Parker Kligerman ran 1 race, average finish of 42nd.
Oh,
Imagine picking him even though he's not in the race.
Oh gosh, 40.
well, to be fair, he was not even the best car, and he only ran 1 race. So let's talk about. Let's move to the NASCAR Xfinity Series. They have their race at Auto Club this weekend for the Fontana 300. That's round 3 of 33. Last year, Cole Custer won after an interesting duel with Kyle Busch. Driving for, of course, Cole driving for Stuart Haas Racing. Now you'll see him in the Cup race this weekend. The first race was in 1997, won by Todd Bodine, and the most wins at this track. Kyle Busch has that with 6, Matt Kenseth with 4, Greg Biffle and Joey Logano have 3 wins apiece, and Kyle Larson has 2. Most team wins for the spring race at Fontana. Joe Gibbs Racing with 6. Roush Fenway Racing has 4. Riser Enterprises with 3rd, and CC Williver Racing has 2. Most make wins for the spring race and Fontana is tied between Chevy and Ford with 8 wins apiece. Toyota has 6 wins and Pontiac has 1. So let's get into this. How do we start? Because this Xfinity series has become a lot more unpredictable.
Yeah. Huh.
Can I say my pick?
Go ahead.
I think I'm just gonna go straight and say it. My pick is Chase Briscoe. I think he's going to be the first driver this season to get 2 victories.
Okay.
I'm gonna lie. I think he has a great shot. He has the most momentum. Come from a win the previous race. You have all that good feelings on you. Just that you have less pressure. You have more confidence. So I think you're not wrong on that. My prediction will be Justin Allgaier. So I think he has the most experience, so I'm most comfortable with him. Justin, who do you have?
Okay. This driver that I have, I know he's racing. I checked to make sure he's racing because you never know. This driver has in all the drivers, he is 10th on the average finish list with an average finish of 8 in 2 races. He got one top 5, 1 top 10, and 2 top 20s. This driver was a Cup driver last year. This year he's now driving the number 8. Daniel Hemrick. And I made sure first, I checked the Junior Motorsports website.
So he's in the race. That's great.
So yeah, Daniel Hemrick will win his first career race in the number 8 Chevrolet.
I see that happening, to be honest.
Like, I just feel it. Like, last week, it was unfortunate that he spun and hit the wall. I knew that was not his fault. He just spun. But, like, I feel like how good he's been, his average finish is 8th, which is a good average finish to have. He has the best average finish for any active driver.
He has years of experience, too.
Yeah, so
it's going to play out in his favor. Let's start to now, since we talked about all the races. Let's get into some of the headlines that happened this week. As you guys know, last week was a pretty.
Wait a second, trucks.
Oh,
we getting trucks. Oh, we don't have trucks. Oh, that's right.
They come back in 2 weeks from
Atlanta. I was about to say there's Formula E if you want to watch that.
Yeah.
E-Prix.
We'll cover that next week when we recap the race.
Yeah, that's on Saturday morning, just for people to know.
Mm-hmm. That's Marrakesh, Morocco. But let's talk about some of the headlines that happened over the week. And as you know, last week it was one of the more harder podcasts that I had to do because as you all know, unless you've been hiding under a rock, Ryan Newman was in a serious crash competing for the win of the Daytona 500, coming to the checkered flag last week. And when we went on the podcast, it was 9:00 Eastern time. When we went live, the race was just over. We didn't know the condition of Ryan Newman. And of course, once we got off, we learned that he was in serious condition with no life-threatening injuries. 2 days later, released from the Halifax Medical Center in Daytona Beach, Florida. which is just a great way to go. And you saw the picture that was posted on Twitter with his daughters in hand, and you can see the smile on his face that from the pictures that was taken. He's in good spirit. You can definitely tell. But we'll be out for the next certain races indefinite, as it has been reported that Ryan Newman suffered a head-related injury.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it's very good. It's comforting to see him, smiling and yeah.
Yeah.
There are very few, luckily, in this day and age, there are very few and fewer incidents on track that make me feel very concerned
Well.
about something that's on the racetrack or just the way of racing. And last week was one of them. And I'm so glad the safety standards that NASCAR has is why they're so high to prevent drivers from getting seriously hurt.
We don't want another Dale Earnhardt situation.
But
right.
Also,
it hasn't happened in 19 years.
But remember, we also had a tragic accident last year in the Formula 2 race.
Right. But, we're talking in the sense of NASCAR, though.
But just still, any motorsport.
Motorsports is dangerous.
Yeah.
We know that.
We see accidents that are really bad.
Try as we might to make it safer, it's always going to be dangerous.
Right. You can never take that away. But what we can do is decrease the chances of a driver getting hurt. And as for NASCAR, their cars passed a big test. I mean, there could not have been a more freak accident that could get a driver hurt than what we saw Monday night. Because upside down, landing on a car, head first, getting hit, driver's side first, upside down, basically your head is as much close to being exposed as possible.
Yep.
And everything that was inside the car remained intact. I mean, a few of the stuff broke inside the car, but the cockpit was as contained as possible, which is the reason for those standards that NASCAR has.
When was the last time we saw an extremely serious accident in NASCAR like that?
Oh, I know. 2017, Eric Almirola.
He may have been injured, but he was alert and talking.
Yeah, but it was still bad because the suspension broke and oh my god. Like he went there, he hit Logano at 190 miles per hour. And the suspension and all, but other than that, Austin Dillon.
Yeah, I'd say Austin Dillon, but he got out very quickly. We're talking about a crash where a driver is taken to a hospital and you don't know the condition and you are just in a mood of insecurity. That has not happened in all reality. That has not happened in a Cup race since the day Dale Earnhardt died. And we're so lucky and fortunate that Ryan Newman was able to survive that crash and get out under his own power. There are many YouTube videos that you can watch from it. So there's one.
Like the medical team was cutting roll bar cages and all that. They had to cut the part of the car open.
To extricate him.
Yep.
Let's move on to we have a lot of things to talk about here. Aston Martin, their hypercar / LMDH plans seem to be canceled. Not sure what's going on there, but we'll get more into that later. There's speculations on who's behind that. But it's a real shame to see a team that is planning to join a new race car, a new style of racing. Not a new style of racing, but a new kind of race car and endurance racing go down. And Aston Martin, I hope they can open it up again one of these years. But it's a shame to see that that will be one less team entering the WEC in the near future. Also, we had some sad news. Former K&N Series driver Candace Muncy found dead at the age of 43. if you heard about that. There's a very, very sad news. Let's see what else we have here. Let's move on. James Hinchcliffe will be driving for Andretti Autosport for 3 races: the Indy Grand Prix, the Indy 500, and the Texas 600-kilometer
Who?
event. James
Who?
Hinchcliffe.
Oh, I thought you were okay. Okay then. Okay, I thought I heard Scott McLaughlin, but no, he's not running.
Right.
He's running.
We'll
other
talk about McLaughlin in a while. I think James Hinchcliffe found himself in the right place. Too bad it's not a full season,
And also, but like people are saying that he sucks, but I'm like, have you seen Zach Veach? His results.
I
have
think
not-
Zach Veach, this is his season where he makes it or breaks it. It's like
Yeah.
his last chance, in my opinion.
Because 2018 was rookie year, but 2019, his second year, was not that good.
Up and down and up and down.
But if
But
you
listen,
put him-
if he doesn't make it out in
Ooh.
2020, I think James Hinchcliffe should take a spot for 2021. That's just my opinion.
like,
Plus, they have a 6-car team. They are stacked.
yeah, they're gonna have Veach, Rossi, Hunter Ray, Hinchcliffe will run those 3 races.
Colton
you-
Herta.
Colton Herta and Marco Andretti.
How many is that? 7?
There is 6.
6.
There's 5 full-time drivers.
So the party's full.
Yeah.
And Zach Veach might be closest to the door. We'll have to
there's-
see, though, because IndyCar gets started in a few weeks' time. St. Petersburg.
Yep.
Let's move on downwards. Of course, as you guys know, Ross Chastain has been the driver that will be in Ryan Newman's car for the
number 6.
near future until Newman is cleared to race again.
But by the way, it's not NASCAR clearing him; it's his medical team.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, NASCAR does have their own concussion protocol.
but it's Ryan's medical team.
Right.
Yeah,
Because, with a situation like that, you want to have the medical staff as close to you as possible and stay with them through the whole journey.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's see what else we have here. Scott McLaughlin, we were kind of talking about him earlier, but reports say he's going to leave the supercar seat racing. He's going to stop racing full time after 2020 and go overseas to the U.S. and race there. Plans are not disclosed yet. Listen, Scott McLaughlin, before we get into this, he's 26, turning 27 this year, and he's accomplished almost everything there is to offer in Australia. Bathurst 1000, 2 championships, and he has 44 wins at this
Right.
young age, including 18 in one season last year.
But like,
He's shown promising speed in IndyCar testing.
yeah, which actually he's gonna run Indy GP driving the number 2. Which, if people don't know, people are probably gonna say, "Oh, that's Newgarden's number." Newgarden's gonna drive the number 1.
Right. Champions have a decision. Not everybody does this, but the championship winners like to they have the decision if they want to run number 1 for their defending year.
There's
and-
gonna be, There's
But-
gonna be 3 full Penske cars.
Yeah.
Newgarden, Power, Pagenaud. Cash Neves will run Indy 500 and Indy GP, while McLaughlin's gonna run the Indy GP.
I'm very surprised that McLaughlin's not going to attempt the Indy 500 because most
we don't
people.
know, but we
I mean, there's no supercars race that weekend. Just saying.
but we don't know yet. Maybe he'll run the Indy 500. We just don't know about that.
I have a feeling next year it's going to happen, especially if the reports that he's going to leave to go overseas, which has been speculated for the last 2 years already. He's shown interest in NASCAR. He did that demo at Gold Coast 2018 with Joey Logano's championship-winning car. He is been in the States racing in the test sessions with Penske.
Yep.
I think a lot of people see him attempting the Daytona 500 in the future. Penske has a 3-car team, so a 4th car wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, they had. I don't even.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, to be honest. I think the door is wide open for Scott McLaughlin. He ran out of accomplishments in supercars at such a young age. He's like Montoya in IndyCar.
Yeah.
And before you know it, he was off to F1.
And then after F1, he went to NASCAR.
Back
Then
to
back-
IndyCar, and now he's in endurance racing. Actually,
Yeah.
he's been in endurance racing this whole time, just for the big races, and even without running full time, he won multiple Rolex 24s. But listen, I think the only thing that off Montoya's listed he hasn't had yet, actually two things: a Daytona 500 and a 24 Hours of Le Mans victory, are pretty much the two things that I can think to mind that he hasn't won yet in his illustrious career. Let's see what we have downwards. Greg Biffle, he's been in the headlines. If you've seen some of the Stadium Super Truck races, that is, they were also in Adelaide. But Greg Biffle will run 2 Truck Series events this year for Kyle Busch Motorsports. He ran 1 Truck Series race last year and won at the Texas IndyCar weekend race in June of 2019. So Greg Biffle, the reports say he's going to run the Charlotte 250 and the
250,
Texas
200.
race, or 200.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what the reports say for Greg Biffle.
And also, he's going to be sharing the truck with Kyle and Chandler Smith in that 51.
So that truck has a lot of veteran experience in there.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have. So Kyle Busch, speaking of, we were just talking about him. He's going to drive 5 Xfinity Series races.
In the 54.
He's going to drive
The number 54.
54 for Joe Gibbs Racing. So it's an extra car.
Starting at Phoenix is his first race. And also, not just him. Denny Hamlin's running Darlington in that car. Like always, but you know what happened last year? He
crossed the line first, but failed to.
But Cole Custer, even, you know what's interesting? You know, remember when Brett Moffitt led no laps and won at Iowa? Cole Custer, Darlington, led 0 laps and won the race.
That's interesting.
And
excuse my French, but that's I did not know that until now.
It would be interesting if first and the last place got disqualified, so you would see the winner. Example, Austin Cindric and Mike Harmon. That'll be funny. Mike Harmon last place gets disqualified. He still finishes last. That would be just
That's
fun.
interesting stuff. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
They say it's kind of an old timer quote about racing, but they say that the only lap that matters, the only corner that matters, is the last one. Everything else is just setting up for that.
Or sometimes in tech. So yeah, I think that's what we have really talk about. Oh, and also this came out today. William Byron Hendrick Motorsports, they're gonna have a Kobe Bryant tribute scheme in honor of Kobe Bryant, who was tragically killed along with 8 others, including his oldest daughter Gianna, last month in a helicopter crash in California. Of course, legend for the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, is going to have a tribute scheme driven by number 24, William Byron.
Also
at Fontana, California.
Also, Ryan Blaney's going to run one with his number 12. He's going to run colors of the Lakers. Yeah,
I wonder if Tyler Reddick's going to do one too with number 8.
Maybe. We'll see.
That was Kobe's first number. He had 8 and then switched to 24 in the NBA. So I think we have everything in. Now we'll be back for episode number 48. Should be a fun one. When we talk about the Auto Club 400. So for my partners,
tune into the races this weekend. You have to tune in, or if you don't, well, go look at the results, but don't look at the Fox Sports app right away because it said Kyle Busch was in the 22, which I know is.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
It said Kyle Larson. It said any other driver in other cars. So yeah, just don't look at that. Just look on NASCAR.com. And wait till inspection's done.
Yeah, that too, as we've learned here and there. So for my partners, Daniel Ford, who had to leave early due to other obligations, Blake Huell and Justin Hebert, I'm Joseph Lane Pavlon signing off. We'll be back for episode 48 next week. For now, have a good one.
See you then.